Today we're going to try to make a sign for somebody. And what we're going to do to make this sign is I've got some metal letters that they bought. And these have got a little bracket on the back of them that you're supposed to put a nail in, I guess, and hang them up on there. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a rough piece of barnwood, sand it down a little bit, varnish it some. Then I'm going to drill a hole through here, top and bottom, put them on the board, and then screw them down. So we'll show you how to drill those holes with the drill press. The first thing we got to do though is get a board. And to get a board, let's see how big we want it. We're going to lay out these letters, kind of space them out here like they're going to be on the board, and see how long the board needs to be. So if we had them spaced something like that, looks pretty good. So let's see how long this board would need to be. We need a board, well, 3 feet long. That'll give us a little space at each end and space the letters out there. So that's what we're going to need. We're going to lay these boards out, lay these letters out like this. We're going to get a board. We'll sand it a little bit, put some varnish on it. We'll drill these letters. I've got some screws already laid out here that are just the right length, just plain black, flathead screws. We'll screw the letters to the board and we'll see what to do. So here's the board I picked out. Piece of old rough sawn barnwood. It's plenty long. I'm going to pick out the best part here in the middle of it and mark that off at 3 feet long. Cut it off and proceed from there. We've got kind of a bad edge on it right there, so we want to kind of move down this way to cut that off. So we put our square on there. And mark along. So there's the board cut, 3 feet long. I'm getting ready to sand it. I like to use that random orbital sander on it, a random orbital sander. I've got about a 60 grit paper on it, and I just want to clean it up. There's dirt, get the dirt off. I'll still leave the saw marks on it, but we're just going to sand that a little bit and clean it up. I'll show you what it looks like when we're done. Okay, that's sanded up pretty nicely. Didn't take a lot of work and made it look a lot better. So we'll take this in now and I'll put a coat of varnish on it, and while it's drying we can go to work on our metal lettering. So here's, we got some varnish and we're ready to go on varnishing this board. Now here's the trick when you want to varnish something. You want to varnish both sides of it, and if you have to varnish one side and then wait for it to dry before you can turn it over, that takes a lot of time. It wastes a lot of your time. So here's a trick that I've used a long time. I'm not a real genius to figure this out. But you take some nails on your scrap workbench or board and you just drive the nails in like that. It only takes 3. With any 3 points, determine the plane. And what we're wanting to do is keep this board up off the table so the varnish on the back side will dry the same as the varnish on the front side. So now I can set that board up there. It stays up off the table, off the workbench, so I can varnish the back side, flip it over, varnish the front side, and it'll all be drying at the same time. Just a little tip to speed things up. So I'm going to dust this off. I've got some Varnishing spar urethane satin. I like it pretty well. 2 coats of this gives you a pretty good finish. So we're gonna put some varnish on this and we'll get to work on those letters a little bit later. So there we've got a coat of varnish on it. Looks a lot better. This coat will dry. I'll probably be a little bit rough, so I'll sand it with a piece of 180, 220 sandpaper, just lightly sand it to smooth it out, dust it off and give it a second coat. Then we'll be ready to put our letters on. You can see it's setting up on the 3 nails that I drove in the workbench. That'll let air get under it to dry, and the back side of it, you'll not see those 3 little dots. Nobody will ever really notice that. So we'll let this dry, and let's go to work on those letters, drilling some holes in them. Here we are at the drill press. I bought this little drill press years and years ago. I was making that violin for my son Graham, and I've used this. It's been a handy little tool. It wasn't an expensive drill press, a little bench top one. But what we're going to do with these letters is we want to drill a hole in the top and the bottom to fasten them on the board. Now, it would take a long time for me to measure each one of these and put a dent there and mark them and then drill them. The thing that really drives me crazy watching the YouTube videos on the internet is when I see people just hold something in their hand and lay it on the bench and drill through it with the drill. That's a dangerous thing to do. The drill could catch the metal, spin it around. Before you know it, you cut your finger. So you always need to have some kind of a stop or some kind of a way to hold the piece so that it won't spin out of your hand and lose your grip. Now I'm going to kill 2 birds with 1 stone here for a stop on my drill press. And I'm also going to go and do away with having to measure each one of these. If you can see right here, all I've got is this little piece of scrap wood and another little piece of scrap wood screwed onto it. And I've clamped this onto the table of the drill press so that I've got the right distance from where I'm going to drill the hole to this block of wood. So what I'll do is I'll only have to lay the piece on there. That block of wood stops me to the right depth, hold it in place. I can estimate the center of that, get it close enough. Like I said in that picture frame video, it's not a matter that they are exactly in the right place. It's a matter that they're exactly the same, in the same place. And that's what this little stop block will do. And so now, instead of having to measure each one of these, all I got to do is lay it on there, drill a hole. So that'll work. I'm going to try one of these and see how it works. Now I'm holding that against the stop. I'm also holding down on it because you notice as that drill bit goes through, and sometimes we'll try to pull up a little bit on you. So we got the bottom drilled. We're going to drill the top in the same way. Yeah, that pulled up. All right, so now here we've got the letter drilled, the holes to mount it on the board. With this screw, let me get one of these screws. Here we got the screw. Put through the hole, screw them down on the board when we get done. So we got a few more letters to do. I guess while I've got this set up, so you see how easy it is, I'll go ahead and do another one. I kind of guess it's to side. It won't matter that much, it'll be close. And then here at the top, I think we can get by with 1 screw. Just that easy. Now, another thing you want to be careful with the drill press, you wouldn't want to try to hold this with a rag or something. Say, well, that might get hot, so I'm going to wrap a rag around it. No, you don't want to do that. You don't want to wear floppy gloves to hold these, because something might get caught in that rotating bit, pull it right out of your hand, and then you're in trouble. You're going to hurt yourself. A good example of that is I was carving these pieces. I better sit down and tell this one. I had some little pieces I was carving with the Dremel, and I had to hold them in my finger and carve, and I was afraid I'd cut my finger. So I bought me some Kevlar gloves. And Kevlar is the stuff that like a bulletproof vest is made out of. Very tough material. So I had some gloves, couldn't cut my finger that way. So I was carving away. And before I knew it, that grinding, that bit in that Dremel caught in that glove, wrapped that thing up and twisted that finger. I heard that finger pop. I think I broke the end on that little thing on that finger right there by twisting that up in that glove. So the moral of the story is don't wear gloves around rotating tools. They can get caught in them and you can get hurt. I don't know, that was just a story. I got sidetracked. I'm going to get back to drilling these letters. I'm going to drill them all. And then I've got to go haul some firewood, I think, because it's going to be cold again maybe sometime. Our varnish will be dry, and we'll continue this a little later. All right, I've got the board varnished. Seems to be pretty nice and smooth. Got the holes drilled in my letters. Got all the letters drilled and holes. And I've spaced them out here on the board to see about how much room I'm going to have between each end. I've kind of got that figured out and centered. And then I centered the letter between the board, so I need 1 3/4 inch about from the bottom of the board to line up all the letters. Now I could put each one on there separately and measure each one, but that would be a lot of trouble. I could draw a line down through here and put the letters on the line and do them that way, but then I'd have a line on the board, and I don't want that. So here's what I've done. I measure up 1 3/4 inch on each end, and I've got a little pencil mark on there. We'll take masking tape, we'll unroll the masking tape, and put a straight line between these two. That way, when I get done putting the letters on, I'll just pull the tape off, and we'll have them all in a straight line. Now I'm going to space the letters down here on the line. I'll just kind of space them out by eyeballing them. Kind of make them all the same distance apart and stuff, just what that looks good to me. Might check just to make sure I've got them about spaced the same distance from the end. That one's 3 inches, and that one's 1.5 inches. So I need to move them all this way. Just a little bit. Two and a half, pretty close. Now I get my screws and I just start fastening letters down. Not that much to it. This one here is right in front of me, so we'll do it. Just like that. This is kind of fun. So, I'll show you the finished project when we're done. You don't need to watch all that. And this is a sign. That's the project, and we'll end the video showing you the finished product and praising God like we always try to do. Always try to remember that. So here we have the finished product, a sign for the Wampler family. As you can see, this is one of their old barn boards that came from the family homestead. That's very, very old. And this is for my daughter, her husband, and Jake and Chloe. Once again, this video is produced by the help of God. We praise Him for this beautiful day. I hope that He has a closer walk with every one of you. That earlier part that I just filmed about putting these letters on the board turned out to be in black and white. My video skills are still in the making. I guess I'll put it in there anyway, and it makes an interesting video, I guess. Thank you for watching. Almost forgot one last detail before the sign is complete. And if you look real closer, maybe down here. Ah, there it is. That little truck. It's branded. The signature's on it. That makes it final. That's fun.